Except where them haters, where them hoes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying? Cecil.
This is why I train in martial arts.
Politics had nothing to do with it. That, according to the lawyer for Rene Boucher, the man accused of assaulting U.S. Senator Rand Paul at his Kentucky home. Neighbors reportedly said the two men who live next to each other have had a long-running dispute over yard waste. Boucher's attorney says his client is remorseful and says the attack was not politically motivated.
That is absurd. Politics has nothing to do with this.
Boucher, who could now face felony charges because of the senator's condition, is currently charged with misdemeanor assault. The 59-year-old retired anesthesiologist is accused of tackling Paul from behind as he was mowing his lawn. Paul's office says the two-term Republican senator suffered 5 broken ribs and lung contusions. His injuries might delay his return to Washington, making it hard for Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, who is trying to garner enough votes to pass tax reform.
Anytime we have a senator on our side who's not there, it's potentially a challenge.
Paul, an ophthalmologist, unsuccessfully ran for the Republican presidential nomination in 2016.
Sorry about the weird stop animation screen capture, but this is an example of why I train in martial arts. Because if you read any other stories or any other articles about this story, you will also find out that this attack was not premeditated at all. He tackled Rand Paul while Rand Paul was cutting the grass. The man who attacked Rand Paul was a 59-year-old doctor, so he was educated and he knew better. This was not in the hood or the ghetto. This was in Kentucky, at somebody's old Kentucky home, where the sun shined bright on the dispute. They said it was over yard waste, and one man gets mad and tackles the other man. And the other man that gets tackled ends up with 5 broken ribs and some damage to his lungs. So, when we tell you not to kick full contact or not to kick as hard as you can, this is why, because if you break a rib and it punctures a lung, it can lead to life-threatening injuries. And one article said it could even lead to you getting pneumonia with the type of injuries that Rand Paul suffered. This type of stuff can happen anywhere. It can happen at any time. Should you be paranoid? No. But if he has some training, maybe he might have known to be able to turn around and throw the person off. Maybe he might have felt the guy coming up behind him. I say maybe because anybody can be cut off guard. Because when you're cutting your grass, the last thing you expect is for someone to come up behind you and tackle you. But if you have some training, hopefully, if somebody's coming up behind you, that classical horse kick, that classical back kick would have taken the neighbor out. And he'd have no justification for it. That's what I like about a lot of techniques, especially the Taekwondo back kick, that they say you can't hit somebody with, which most people can't hit anybody with unless they're running up behind you. If you catch somebody with a back kick that's coming up behind you, it's because they were charging you. They run right into it. You can't walk on the street, stand in front of somebody, look at them, position yourself, and then do a back kick. It's not going to happen. People are going to be like, what are you doing? And they're going to get away from you like the weirdo that you would be. So that is even though it's striking, that's purely a defensive technique. If he knew how to turn around, like we say, deer, if he got grabbed, he could throw the person with his body while he's turning around. From judo, if the guy's trying to tackle from the back, he could turn around, get a good stance, and just continue rolling them and do a hand throw. I would say from boxing, if he can turn around in time. That's why at the upper levels of my curriculum, I now have people doing one-steps where I think I have it at 5th degree and up. I'm not sure. You have to look. The defender is facing away from the attacker. Now I'm thinking maybe I need to bring that down lower or just have people practice it lower. If anybody's ever did a drill, when I took Tang Soo Do, what did he call his style? He called it, that's right, he called it Jung Soo. When I was taking Jung Soo Taekwondo out at the Wakefield Community Center, Wakefield, not Wakefield, Wakefield Community Center back in the day in Virginia. You make a circle or you have people standing in a square. It doesn't matter. Either circle or square will do. Even a triangle, really. They call it small circle jujitsu or a circle drill. Not the style, a small circle, but they call it circle jujitsu because you stand in the middle of the circle and people take turns running at you from in front, from behind, and they do random attacks. Now you cooperate in class so that you don't kill your classmate. But that is a good application for that drill because somebody might come up behind you and tackle you. So, if there's anything we could take away from it, I would like to see something like this. If there's anybody that likes to do scenario-based training, maybe even for a concealed carry person, that would be a good one I'd like to see the concealed carry people handle. Would they have been able to use deadly force? Probably not, because if the person's coming up behind you and they're trying to tackle you, you probably don't necessarily think it's deadly force, or it might not be considered deadly force until after they've made contact. So I don't know. But I do know especially from Taekwondo, if you turn around, even if he turned around and done a palm strike, if he just turned around and stuck his hand up, the person will run right into the hand. That's their power going against the blow. If they're sneaking up behind you and you do the classical, what people call donkey kick, just a classical back kick with the toe pointed downwards, that's another one. Even though you've got the glutes and the hips, they have to run into that one to lay them out, and it would. So, all Monday morning quarterbacking aside, I really wish Senator Rand Paul speedy recovery. Now, see, even though this was an unfortunate event, and it sounds to me like Senator Rand Paul is not even mad at his neighbor, the neighbor, in a moment of weakness, did something that could have threatened the senator's life. Just in a moment of weakness. Something that, dare I say, I think any of us could be capable of if we kept feeding on our anger and festering on our anger instead of letting it go. Just pushing it aside. Let's take the anger. Let's push it away. Let's take the anger. Let's push it away. Let's take the anger. Let's push it away. Let's redirect the anger. Redirect the anger. Redirect the anger. Nope. You fasten on it, you dwell on it, you let it boil, you let your ego start talking to you, and now something that was a mistake, that was probably just done on a whim, could possibly cost two men their lives. One man his life for medical conditions, and this other man, who was a retired doctor, his life because of time in jail. Let's settle our neighbor disputes a little more peacefully. And if you're the praying type, send your prayers to Senator Rand Paul because he needs it. Peace.